Hello, everybody, and welcome to season 2 of Queer Talk. Queer Talk is a podcast brought to you by Fighting Fear. Fighting Fear is a community for queer people by queer people, and you can follow us on Fighting Fear Community on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And you can also visit our website www.fightingfear.co.uk. So, to start off season 1, we have a long overdue guest. We were supposed to meet last year, but unfortunately, our diaries did not coincide. So, we're starting season 2 with Lukas, who is going to talk to us about queer and sober. So, I'll let you introduce yourself, Lukas.
Hi.
Tell us a bit about
Hi.
you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Indeed, my name is Lukasz. I'm Polish. I live in Brussels already 14 years. And my recent project, together with my friends, is Queer and Sober Brussels, which is organization aiming at setting up a community environment for queer and sober people to connect, to spend time together. So yes, this is something that I'm recently passionate about.
Fantastic. What made you set this organization up on you and your colleagues or you and your friends? What did you, how did you see the need and what prompted it all?
Yes, I think for many people in the organization, it was very personal history. So many people have different reasons why they are doing that. But altogether, we saw that we're missing a space where queer people can enjoy, have fun, spend time, get to know other sober people. So in a sober environment. So in Brussels, we have a lot of parties, a lot of events where there's alcohol and unfortunately drugs as well. But we're just missing space where we can go out, meet other sober people. And we wanted to be a community that support each other and help each other. So I think this is the main driver. There were some also stories that we heard of people around us that struggle with alcohol and drugs. We also heard stories about people committing suicide. So this was also a driver for us to set this organization.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, one thing I'm noticing more and more of as I go around in the world, I was just recently in the UK, in Manchester. I don't know if you've ever been there, Lucas. Have you been to Manchester?
No, no, I haven't.
Uh,
No.
so Manchester's famous for its Canal Street, which is where the gayborhood is, so to speak. And
Mhm.
one of the things I noticed is that there is a sober bar there now, which has never been there before. This is very revolutionary for Manchester and its drinking culture. I mean, just the UK, but specifically
Yeah.
Manchester, where you now have on Canal Street a sober bar. And I noticed a lot of young people are there. It's not to say it's only a thing for young people, but is that something that you're noticing in your organizations, that young people are much more open to sobriety than people who are older?
Yes, that definitely you touch upon few things. So first of all is the whole trend of sobriety, of promoting sobriety, sober bars. We also have sober bars in Liège, for example. There's one. We're working with one bar in Brussels as well, where we have our sober after work every second Friday of the month. So we are trying to reclaim the queer spaces for sober events, and it's not easy because well the whole queer culture was born in a bar, right, in New York. So but we're fighting. And then the other thing you said, yes, the young people, Gen Z especially, they arrived to the moment of sobriety not because they had problem with addictions. I mean, not all of them. I'm not generalizing, but many of them just never had problem with alcohol, drugs. They just never drink alcohol or never took drugs. They're just choosing sobriety as a path, as a lifestyle, because they see benefits for their mental health, for their physical health. So we see also young people joining us who never struggled with addiction.
It's interesting you say that. As soon as you said, young people, I mean, I'm not sure he counts as young people anymore, but Tom Holland, Spider-Man, he's a sober
Yes.
person as well, isn't he?
Yes, there is a lot of sober people. There's
In the media.
Brad Pitt,
Uh-huh.
Bradley Cooper, Anthony Hopkins. So there's a lot of great stories out there, and it's amazing how you hear their stories. And I'm so happy that they are speaking openly about it and promoting the movement.
And it's interesting with Bradley Cooper considering his legacy, with the Hangover
Uh,
series. It's
mm,
interesting to think that someone like Bradley Cooper has also gone down the sobriety route, which is fantastic, but it's so juxtaposed with him specifically. So
yeah,
you were
yeah,
saying,
yeah. Go ahead.
no, no, please continue.
No, I mean, I wanted to say that there are many celebrities right now. There was a post about 16 more famous celebrities on Cosmopolitan that we're sharing recently in the group. So it's funny that it's starting to be, it's starting to be popular, starting to be something that it's sexy, that is something to aim for.
Fantastic. And you mentioned that you have a collaboration with a bar in Brussels. Which
Yes,
bar is that, and when does it
it's
happen? I know you.
Homo erectus. So the owners are sober as well,
Hmm.
and they support our cause a lot. And yes, we have this collaboration of organizing sober after work. So um, it's more or less the second Friday of the month. We meet at 6 p.m. Who comes? People come and we just meet. And it's yeah, it's the best time to the best way to start the weekend.
Oh, fantastic. And
Yeah.
without, if I didn't know anything about this event and didn't know anything about the
Mm,
movement, one might think that this is a meeting for people who had addiction issues.
mm,
And therefore they might think, oh, well, I don't have an addiction, so why would I go to
sure.
this? What
Yeah.
would you say to someone like that?
So we often have those questions about our connection to AA or NA, so Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. We are in contact with them, but we have a little bit different goals. So why they have more focus on addiction and dealing with addiction and talking and have the 12-step program. We're creating a platform for sober people or sober curious people, queer also, this is also important element. And it's not only for people who struggle still with addiction, it's indeed for everyone who wants to try sober lifestyle, who wants to get to know more information about that. So we're more open, and it's we're not experts. We're not here to really to do therapy for you. We can guide people if people come to us and ask for help. We guide them where they get professional help. But we are just volunteers who really are passionate about the cause and creating community. So we're creating yeah, community of queer sober and sober curious people, and also allies. We're also open to allies.
You were saying, it's a, I mean, obviously it's a sober place, but it's specifically focused for queer people. Why do you think
Mm.
queer spaces are so entrenched with substances generally? Why do you think that is? In your experience, in terms of, your
Yeah.
population group that you're working with, why do you think that is? I have my thoughts, but what are your
So
thoughts?
so I when I was preparing for this interview, I wrote down some numbers that I gathered over the last months. For example, regarding alcohol, 20-25% of queer people are moderately to severe dependent on alcohol, comparing to average to non sorry, heterosexual population. It's only 5 to 10%. For stimulants such as marijuana, 42% are using, and only 19% in the non-queer population. For heroin, 9.5 times more gay men are using heroin. So those are numbers are really big differences between queer community and not queer community. And why is that? Yeah, I ask this question myself very often, and we all often have discussions about that in the team. I think for sure the fact that we had to deal with being a minority and having trauma of and then coming out, all this had heavy impact on mental health. And many of members of the queer community are dealing by escaping to drugs, to alcohol. I think part of it is also queer culture, that it's very heavily connected to alcohol, also drugs like party, clubbing culture. So yeah, I think there's a lot of elements influencing that, and yeah, that's why we're so needed. But I'm happy to hear your theory.
I mean, I think it's all of those what you've just mentioned, but I think there is something. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned, at the beginning of the interview, you talked about queer culture being born in a bar in New York, and I was like, I don't really relate to that. And I was thinking, well, how do people around the world who are not in a Western society but are queer, how do they relate to alcohol and drugs and things like this? And I was recently in Pakistan, and one of the things I'm noticing there is, amongst the queer population, but specifically queer men, you're seeing a lot of drug use. And it's an excessive amount of drug use. And what ends up happening is eventually there is an overdose, which leads to a death. And it's often a high-profile case that makes the news. So when I say high-profile case, it's a person from a very prominent family or a very well-to-do family. And when that case comes to the headlines, often their queer identity is almost taken out of the equation. And so it got me thinking, I wonder if it's all related to shame. And, actually, it's not necessarily about bars, it's just shame generally, as you said, coming out, and stigma of being queer and the trauma of being queer, is something that I think is just so universal across the world, and has existed for so long now, that even if there isn't a culture of bar hopping or bar crawling or going to clubs and doing this, there's still, some sort of substance misuse. And that's not to say there aren't clubs in Pakistan. Of course there are. There are places that people go. There's even private parties. But that culture of drinking isn't there. Not in the way that is in the Western world. Yet the problem is still there.
Interesting view. Of course, I can only talk about Poland, Belgium, and in Europe. I don't know that much other environments. But of course, I mean, queer culture is being built by queer people. So if they have shame, they will put it in the culture. So of course. But about overuse and then only prominent cases being brought to public, right? We had the Hungarian member of the parliament who was at the sex chems party in Brussels a few years ago, and during COVID. So it only it was only public. I mean, it was only a big scandal, I guess, because of his profile, but also that he broke the COVID rules. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that story has just so many layers to it, which are far too many layers to unpack in this particular podcast. But actually, it does take me to think maybe we need a podcast on that specific incident on its own.
Perhaps it would be a good idea.
I was also thinking about your events themselves. I mean, I was looking at your Instagram. So just for anyone who knows, who wants to follow, I guess you can follow you on Instagram, QS Brussels.
QS Brussels, indeed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any other social media handles, or is it just Instagram?
So we have Instagram, we have Facebook, and we have also Meetup. So you can find us on all of those, and we also have WhatsApp group for exchange. So we have four channels.
Fantastic. And what kind of events might you do? So obviously you have this this meetup that you have on every second Friday, but what else might you do?
Yes, so we have thought about what events are needed, and we thought that okay, so, sorry, I'll make a note here because I wanted to recognize great help that we get from Korean Sober Amsterdam. So this is the organization that was set up first, and we take a lot of advantage of their experience and their history. So we collaborate with this organization, and they help us a lot at the beginning. And what kind of events? So we thought that first of all, building community and fun, let's say, activities. So by fun activities, we had like bowling, we had board games, we have those social meetings in Homo erectus. Then we also thought about for events for helping well-being. So just on Sunday, we had a workshop, mindfulness bathing in nature. So we gathered in the park. We had we were guided by a professional person who is experienced in mindfulness meditation. And we're walking in the park. We're hugging trees. We had closed eyes and experiencing the nature with different senses. We had also meditation workshops. So this is also the part that the workshops that we also consider important. And then we are thinking about also some group talks that we could talk about dating sober. That are some issues that are common for us, and they are not really maybe targeted in the AA meetings or NA meetings, but they are part of experience of being queer and sober. But this is still under development. For the moment, we're focusing on those two types of events.
No, that sounds amazing. I was just thinking about my own journey. Not to say that I'm sober by any means, but one thing I've noticed, I've developed a weird, well, I don't know if it's weird, it's certainly cheaper, intolerance to alcohol over the last year. Like, normally I could drink myself under a table, but now even whilst drinking a drink, I start to get a headache, and it's only been a year where it's been like this, and it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre. But I remember initially when I noticed this and I was then going out to bars or to anywhere, I was having these kind of experiences that I haven't had a very long time, where one, I was sober, two, I had people telling me to drink and I'm saying no, right?
Yeah.
And no, just have one, have this, have that. And I just remember thinking, it's amazing that we're still having this issue in 2024. In 2024, people are still forcing you to do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, indeed. This is something that is always shocking me that alcohol is the only drug that you have to explain why you're not taking it. So you have to explain why you're not drinking. Whereas it should be the case, we should ask why you are drinking actually. What is the reason why you are taking this drug? For me, I mean, not for me, the science, the alcohol is a drug. So why you're putting poison in your body, and not me explaining why I'm not, why actually I cherish my mental health, my physical health, why I want to have genuine connection with people, why I want to remember the night, why I want to save my wallet. So there are so many reasons, but sometimes I'm also bored and of explaining. Sometimes you take this discussion one, two, three, four, five, six times, and seven times I'm just like, yeah, because I'm taking antibiotics, or like you just sometimes you're just tired, and don't want to explain, and also you don't always feel comfortable to explain why you are not drinking, right? So if you are going to a place where there are new people, you not necessarily want to talk about that. So yeah, sometimes it's just easier not to have an excuse like I just yeah, that's just because, or I'm taking medication, or I don't know, I'm driving, or uh,
I guess my point with there was like explaining is one thing, is the being forced to, almost being
mm,
pressured into and guilted into. But if you're not going to drink, I'm not going to drink. It's like you can do what you
you
want.
can exactly.
I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm not forcing you not to drink. You do you, but let me do me. You know, and it really reminded me of being back in at university, where I
Mm.
remember at the time I just didn't drink because of religious reasons, and just the conversation constantly that, "Well, why don't you just have one? He drinks or she
Yeah.
drinks. Why don't you do it?" And just this peer pressure to do it.
But I will tell you a story. So one of members of our team, he told me the story that he's always trying to order first, whenever he's in the meeting. So so he's always ordering first cola or whatever non-alcoholic drink, and then it's a little bit setting the scene, setting the tone, and then people are okay, he's ordering cola, so maybe then I will take cola as well, or not a beer. So very often this turns not into non-alcoholic meetings, which is better for him because yeah, he also enjoys genuine discussions, connection. But yeah, it's very funny how the first person set the tone.
And it got me thinking also about perhaps the kind of events as well that, as queer communities, often our events are at night, which also kind
Yes.
of opens the use of substances, perhaps. I mean, I know we've done, at least Fighting Fear, we've done drag brunches, and although there is alcohol there, people often just don't drink. They'll come and have a coffee, they'll have a tea, but also just meeting in a day environment to some extent also, I think, can reduce how much you drink or take certain
Mm.
substances, or prevent it altogether.
So yeah, so you're of course right, and we indeed most of our activities are during the day, but we try
Mm.
also to step into to the territory of the night and have the sober after work event. But we also collaborate with Fucking Sober. This is an initiative in Brussels that organize techno parties, sober techno parties. So there was a second edition in May in Brussels, where indeed the whole night, but it's not like 11 a.m. like most queer parties, but it's really like till 2, 3, 4 a.m. where you can stay awake without any support. But it's really also reclaiming that there are people who still want to party, who still want to dance
Mm.
at night, and enjoy this environment, this atmosphere of the night, but without drugs, without alcohol, and Fucking Sober is indeed providing that. Unfortunately, for the moment, it's only more or less twice a year. But we also have in our community the WhatsApp group for people who wants to go out together at the parties, and even if it's a gay party, but it's not sober party, but just being together helps. Staying together helps to yeah to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, just thinking of the financial benefits of not drinking, leaving the health aside. I mean, but also, the financial benefits also opens, I guess, the scope for marginalized groups. So, people of low socioeconomic background, we know people of color and black people, indigenous people may have less access to funds, and therefore often are excluded from queer
Mm,
environments because of this.
yeah.
So I think, if you had more and more initiatives like yourselves, organizing events which are sober, I think that invites lots of people. Some of the areas you mentioned, in Brussels, there's lots of big parties, but just the entry of them is sky high. And then on top of that, then you're having to pay for drinks that you don't necessarily want,
Yeah.
or you have to have or feel that you have to have because the environment that you're in, because everyone's high, everyone's drunk. So having that kind of environment just reduces the costs exponentially.
Totally. And we are also aware of that. So that's why we also try to have events that are cost-free. For example, we do picnics. So we just go to the park, put a blanket, and we ask people, bring what you can. We'll bring what we can, and people bring homemade cookies, I don't know, fruit, and we just gather together. So we also try to have those events which are lower cost, because sometimes for bowling, of course, we have to pay for the renting the alley. So this is also important for us. And then I also wanted to say something, but then about gay parties, indeed. So we started just in January, and I think we're quite successful. We have more or less between 20 and 30 people in our events. So that's
amazing.
That's above our expectations, really. For our first event, we have 35 people. So that was really mind-blowing number. But we're asking people, okay, what kind of events you want us to organize? What would you like to see? And once we got a response, guys, whatever you're doing that is not sexual, do it. There are so many sexual charged parties, events, that whatever you're doing that is not sexually charged will come. There is such a hunger for genuine connection, for spending time that is not around sex.
And it's not to say that, I guess, that, you can't have a genuine connection which is sexualized or with drugs or not, but I guess it's having that option to have something else for people who want to connect in a different way.
I don't think you can have genuine connection on drugs, but you can challenge me on that. But yeah, I think that I will tell you the story. So my birthday party in January was my 30th birthday party, and I invited all of my friends. I think there were like more than 40 people in the room, in my place. And not all my friends are queer, not all my friends are sober, a big part, yes, but not all of them. And I asked them, my previous party I was saying that I am not buying any alcohol. If you want to drink alcohol, you are welcome, but there will be no alcohol. So if you want to drink, you can bring on. But this time I said, no, it's my 30th party, 30th birthday. I want it to be special. I really want to be for everyone to be able to remember it the whole night and be focused, be fully conscious all the time. And I said, there is no alcohol, obviously no drugs, no alcohol allowed. Please don't drink also before. And I had weird questions. People were curious about it. They were joking, but generally everyone said, okay, it's your birthday. We respect that. We want to spend time with you. And it was the best party of my life, really. It was amazing. Everyone had a lot of fun. It was a team Friends, so people dressed up as friends. I think nobody complained about lack of alcohol. And I will remember as the best night, I think for sure the best birthday party I ever had. For sure everyone remember every moment. People were really talking about deep issues, and deep conversation from what I could hear, and then when they told me, so there were some connections made. So yeah, very, very, very proud of myself about this party.
No, that sounds amazing. No, that's I think I think there needs to be more and more spaces like what you're creating and what Queer and Sober are doing. And I think there's so much space for day events. And I think just having things in the day changes so many dynamics, whether it's about use of any chems or drugs or alcohol, but even sexualized activity. I think, just having diversity, because we are a diverse community, and sometimes we pigeonhole ourselves into certain boxes as a community. It's enough that we have it done from outside of the community, that we're doing it to ourselves as well. So on that note, I think it'd be useful maybe if you give us a date for your next event. Do you have any coming up?
Yes. So our next event will be on the 21st of July. We'll have a picnic in Park Egmonton in Brussels, and then we'll watch the parade. And then we'll be also, I think we have kayaks. We're in Wallonia on the 17th of August, and we also will be participating in Liège and Antwerp Prides.
Fantastic. And if anyone wanted to find out more about your initiatives and your events, how could they do that?
So they can check our Instagram account. There is a section with frequently asked questions. They can contact me or any other member of the team. They can write us an email. All the links are in the Instagram account, or Meetup. You can also find contact details to us. Yeah, I think those are best ways to contact us.
So fantastic. Thank you so much, Lukas. It's been a pleasure to have you, and it's so great to
Thank you very
start
much.
season 2 with this amazing initiative. So this was Lukas, and he was talking about Queer and Sober in Brussels. But however, this is a global thing with an initiative which started in Amsterdam. So as he said, you can find out more about his initiatives on Instagram on QS Brussels. So this is Fighting Fear. Fighting Fear is a community for queer people by queer people. You can follow us on Instagram, Fighting Fear Community, on YouTube, on Facebook, and you can look at us on our website, www.fightingfear.co.uk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.